Hello, hello. There we go. I'm recording now.
Yep. Oh, now you're recording.
I teed the hell out of that.
I've just jacked my audio up.
Yep.
It's recording in wave, uncompressed.
Nice.
Wow.
That's how we roll. Larrabee likes to go in raw.
Hey, with a setup like this, it's going to be A, uncompressed, and B, it's going to be purely mono.
Likes to go in raw with mono.
Yep. I got a funny story that we can't tell live on the show.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait for the after dark version of the episode.
That's what you should be doing for Patreons. You should be doing like the
After
podcast
dark.
night.
Getting ourselves fired.
Yeah. But think about all that Patreon money.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Well, hey,
maybe
you guys are above kind of funny now. So
That's so weird.
only on Wednesdays and Thursdays, though.
what is up with that? What do you think that is?
I think they're tracking it, and everything gets a boost when they release a new episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And I think just
we're
our
up
longevity is what's getting us up there.
I think, yeah, longevity and the fact that we always release episodes on the same day, like every single week, just our, consistency.
Interesting. Yeah, it's great.
Did you guys
though.
read any of that podcasting stuff from Marco?
I did.
That article, very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I found it interesting that Apple would meet with, like, only a small group and just
The elite.
just the elite podcasters to hear their demands or whatever. It's just like, oh God,
That's
this is gonna be a fun time.
I mean, like, shit, we've been doing it forever. We've both been doing it for 10 plus years. Like, it's,
Yeah,
you know, if anything, like, we're the backbone of the podcast store. No, I'm serious. Like,
That's
we're
right.
the ones that, like, we don't make money. Really, it's just like, I don't even know what you would call it. Never mind.
we do it for the love.
Exactly. That's what
The
was
love of the
so
media.
magical about podcasting back then, and what's so magical about it now
Yeah.
is that anyone can do it, and it's free for everyone. It really grosses me out, the idea of having to pay for episodes.
Yeah.
Although, didn't the Ricky Gervais podcast try to do that early on? I think I remember that being a thing.
Maybe.
It didn't really work out.
I guess we can't all have Squarespace and and like GoDaddy
Harry's.
sponsorships. Harry, who needs razors? You need razors, right? You look like you shave.
Hey, I have a Harry's razor. I shaved this morning with a Harry's razor. You like this? Is this
Yeah,
good?
promo code P1 podcast. Get 3 free
What?
razors.
We don't have one of those.
But you could probably still like, I've been tracking now that I've been like hounding my audience to do Amazon stuff through my website. It's
Mhm.
actually like doubled, which has gone from like
Nice.
$20 a month to $40 a month, but it's still
It's something.
progress.
Every little bit counts.
Every little bit.
Yeah. We're ready to do this thing.
Yeah.
We're ready
Yeah.
to knock this out of the park.
Let's do it.
right.
Oh, hey, CJ, real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
On the news side, I don't see any. Let's see. Okay. Did you want to talk at all about what Epic was talking about with them estimating Gears of War 4 would have cost $100 million if they had
Yeah.
done it?
If you want to paste something in the outline, please do.
Okay.
Anybody can contribute anything they like into the show outline.
Okay. Sounds good.
Plus, I've been on vacation and away for like 2 weeks, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay. It's not a lot of shooter stuff today.
I don't know that we'll actually talk so much about all this shooter stuff. We'll briefly go over it.
Okay.
CJ likes guns. You like guns.
We'll lightly graze it. I do live in Georgia, you know.
I'm still hearing a lot of static on Kevin's.
For me.
Yeah. When you speak, I'm just every now and then I'm hearing it burst.
That's true.
Interesting. Interesting.
Although Stewie, you've had static since you switched to a PC. Like
Okay,
every now
maybe
and again.
it's just a Hangout connection.
I think it's like Google Hangouts is a piece of shit because when you just talked, Greg, you sounded staticky to me.
Yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
Ethan sounded pretty terrible
Hold on,
from
let
the
me
start too.
check my
But,
recording. Let me just make sure my recording, because all that matters is my recording sounds
but
good.
we're only talking about technical
Right.
difficulties, so
Hold on, let me
Yeah,
go.
well-
Let me just double check.
To Kevin's point, also, I've noticed when I listen on YouTube, you do have sometimes garbled, speech because of
That's
Hangouts,
true.
but then the
Yeah.
actual recording, I double check it and it's clean.
okay.
Yeah. It's Hangouts is Hangouts is Hangouts.
Yeah.
My recording sounds so fucking good, CJ. you're just gonna like.
I
I don't
like
even
how
know
we-
if you're gonna. The
I
other
like
three
how when
people
you
in the
said
show.
so fucking good, it like garbled the shit. That's the best.
Look at like. I think it's just like Google Hangouts is a piece of crap, especially if you're on a Mac. It just does not.
That
Yeah.
is definitely true.
All right, let me start recording
It'll
again.
it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Besides,
Word.
Stewie's audio is garbled. That's fine.
This is just my voice. Shut up.
All right, let's do a clap. I almost forgot to do that because I haven't been here in a few weeks. But anyway, 3, 2, 1. That was excellent.
Ace.
Hello and welcome to episode 496 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, May 10th, 2016. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, my co-host from Canada, Mr. Greg Seward. Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. It's
Yeah.
dark here.
It's dark, huh?
Mhm.
It was a dark and stormy night in Canada.
Suddenly a shot rang out.
Suddenly, a NASCAR race blares from a television. Yeah. Yeah. And joining us this week also, Mr. Ethan Einhorn. Hello.
Hey, good to be back. I was looking at NeoGAF and learned that I say critical path too much. So that is
What a critique.
It's so funny.
one
I
thing
saw
we're
that.
gonna fix.
I saw a tweet like that, and then I happened to listen to the episode last week. It's like, yeah, he's saying that a lot.
I didn't notice it. No.
I didn't notice it either. But then
It was
again,
I think it was only like 3 times actually, but it just seemed like a lot because somebody had said you say it a lot.
Yeah, then it draws attention to it. Yeah.
I'd probably hear it a lot at work anyway. So. Yeah. And joining us as well, he is the CEO, leader of the Fitcast Network now, his very own podcast network, host of Back in My Play and the Fitcast, Mr. Kevin Larrabee. Hello.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. You've got like 8 podcasts now or something. I can't keep up with all this stuff.
Yeah, I was realizing I didn't have like a ton of time to do Back in My Play, so I took 3 months off and started a podcast network and launched 3 more shows along with it. And decided to hey, let's see if I can actually make this a business that could continue on and make enough money to make sense for the time that I'm putting into it, and it allows me to do weird things like expense video games, and I can also expense this new audio setup. So I talked to an accountant. He said it was okay.
All right. So that's at fitcast.network, right?
Yeah, that's weird. You can get basically .anything now, like
Yes.
literally. And I mean, it was going to be the Fitcast Network, so I figured fitcast.network, might as well get that and shorten it up a little bit.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us.
Oh yeah, you guys are the best. Like I even gave you guys a little bit of a shout out on 8-4 play, and they try to always like roll it off like who?
Of course.
Your best friends from EGM and 1UP, like your buddies, and man, they're just so cool over there.
Totally. We love 8-4 play. Love it. Except when they're talking about Ratchet and Clank.
Or Genesis Sound.
Or
Oh, wait a second. They didn't hate on Ratchet and Clank, did they?
yes.
Okay, JJ had a really bad week, and I think he got confused. He got confused when he mixed up hating something and loving something, and it's okay. We all make mistakes.
The new Ratchet and Clank is great.
Well, here's the thing. You're allowed to hate the Ratchet and Clank movie, but the game is off limits. You can't hate that.
Yeah. Hey, that movie made like no money, huh?
Yeah, it opened up in like 76th place or something.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I'm back from vacation.
Welcome back.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back.
I was waiting for that. You guys did a good job while I was gone, though. I was very happy.
Thanks.
Shows, yeah. It's good to listen and not have to try to burst in with a pithy comment.
Not have to try to control Phil. You could
did a
do,
good job
we
of
could have
that.
just done what you did this week, which was give him the absolute wrong recording time. I mean,
Exactly.
it's going to be weird when he shows up 2 hours from now and we're already gone.
You guys said we were recording at midnight Pacific.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we got to hear all of Phil's voices, so there was that.
That was great.
True. So, yeah, I was out for PAX East, which was amazing. I love PAX. It's just such a great show since everybody was excited about video games and tabletop PC games. There's all these like different sections of gaming coming together at the same time. It was pretty great. So thanks to everybody who stopped by the Adult Swim Games booth. They came up and said hello. Thank you, everybody, if you did. I didn't write down any. I'm not going to subject you to a list, but Hacker Alias Unpopular Gaming did bring me over. Shout out. But yeah, I didn't play at the Adult Swim Games booth in front of Headlander, which I'll post some links to some walkthroughs, some interviews that I did at the show. But it was very well received. It was at the Sony booth, it was at the Double Fine booth, it was at the Adult Swim Games booth, so a lot of people played it, got a really great reaction. I gave Suda51 a Headlander t-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, he thanked me for that profusely, which was awesome. I didn't play much of anything during the show, because, I was at Adult Swim Games. But I did happen to get a Star Fox Zero t-shirt. On the last day of the show, there was this woman who came by and wanted an Adult Swim Games pin, and we were out of them, but I gave her one anyway. I gave her mine. And to thank me, she gave me 2 tickets for the Nintendo booth thing that gave you a Star Fox Zero t-shirt. So I took that, got the shirt, and immediately lit it on fire in front of the Nintendo booth. No, I'm kidding. I have the shirt, and it is great.
What's left of it?
It's probably better than the game.
Ouch.
The shirt is pretty excellent, I gotta say. It says Flight Crew on it, and that's awesome. And I want to also thank Neil Ronahan and Zach Miller for inviting me to the Nintendo World Report Who Wants to Be a Nintendo Air panel. They had me as one of their experts, and that was a lot of fun. That was a great Nintendo expert, me. Go figure.
Look at the wall behind him, Greg. I think he deserves that title.
Oh, just because the dude buys a bunch of Nintendo games?
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
It looks like a bunch of PlayStation games back there, actually. None of that looks like Nintendo.
Yeah, but there's some Nintendo stuff back there.
Uh-huh.
There's an Animal Crossing. There's a Mario up here, right
There's a bunch
there.
of Wii games on the
Animal Crossing.
table over there.
Got some Amiibo stuff. I got there's a Bowser right here, right there.
Yeah.
How many amiibo are you up to now?
I don't even. I'm over 40 Amiibo.
Okay.
Jesus.
No, that makes me feel
Yeah.
good because I just broached the 50 mark. So
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. See, I'm glad that finally, Ethan, we are like the Amiibo on this podcast.
The Amiibo Amigos?
Amiibo Amigos.
hey man, I went
proud
the
of that.
whole way. I bought a bookshelf from Target to
Just for
have
your Amiibo.
Just for my amiibo. Yep.
Yeah.
You have a problem.
Yeah, and I was FaceTiming with my sister, who's a teacher in Illinois, and when she saw the amiibos right behind me, she just goes, "What the fuck is that?"
Does she describe you to her students as a kind of cautionary tale, or?
That's a perfectly acceptable response from her, to be honest.
It really is.
Like that's totally fair game.
It's like, oh, why do you buy the kids so many Amiibo? Ethan's like, those are mine.
Those are all
Kids aren't
mine.
allowed to touch those.
My newest one, I bought an import NES for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
For
That's
Mother's
great.
Day?
Yeah, I was making an Earthbound joke there. Mother's Day. See?
Oh, I get it.
You see what I did there?
Okay. Yeah.
Very clever.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is right. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there listening to the Player One podcast. It's a special day. Boy.
Word to your mothers.
Yeah.
Well,
Word, Mom.
But yeah, Boston was great. I love Boston.
Boston's great.
Yes. And then I went to Puerto Rico for vacation. Didn't bring a computer with me, so I couldn't do any editing.
Yeah, that was fun.
Last week's show was all Stewie. So if you have any,
I did a terrible job, by the way. I listened to that and I couldn't even hear Phil half the time. Although I wonder if that was subconscious.
Could have been. Yeah, I might be a little tan. You might be getting a little glow, a little rosy, pinkish hue there. And then when I got home, I had a staycation as well. Played some video games, of course. Got to do that. And I also diagnosed my remote play issues. So
what was it?
I seem to have solved it. I got so now my PS4 is hooked up to my router through Powerline Ethernet. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I've heard of that.
You use the wall plug, and you can hook it up to your router through the power lines in your house or apartment. And
I have that set up too.
That fixed it right up. Now it's like no lag whatsoever, no disconnects. It's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. In other CJ news, Nolan Bushnell is following me on Twitter.
That's pretty great.
awesome.
I've heard other
like
people
30,000
say
people, so it really
that as well.
he follows a lot of people. Oh, and David Hasselhoff also follows me on Twitter.
Nolan Bushnell's more exciting.
Wow.
Nolan Bushnell is more exciting though. I had to mute Hasselhoff because it's just like I followed him back, but I can't do it.
I'm gonna throw you a follow back, but I can't listen to you.
Yeah.
So I was at a weird Silicon Valley get together where you had the founder of Yelp and other folks, and the guy that I was of course most interested in talking to was Nolan Bushnell, who is a really, really good storyteller, and so it was me and like 4 or 5 other people crowding around him. But what was interesting was that, and I think he was just kind of speaking to the audience, he was talking less about himself and more about his relationship with Steve Jobs. And in fact, his newest book is about Steve Jobs.
That's right.
It's like, dude,
it's about finding the next Steve Jobs, right?
Right.
That's
and all I could think is like, dude, like you're as important as Steve Jobs. Don't undersell yourself. I want to hear about you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
so
also he's on. He was in the news recently. Something about mobile games. He's teaming up with some company to do some new stuff there, right?
You gotta love that guy. He never stops. Like he never gives up. He's always sort of moving to the next idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's great too because mobile is a really open market that's not saturated at all, and there's plenty of room for new entrants.
Wow.
Exactly. I think his thing was about like some kind of anti-free-to-play thing, and how he wants to move games back to a premium experience. I was
Ethan's interested.
That is definitely interesting. Yeah.
Good luck with that. And I hope your book does well because I'm not sure your mobile thing is going to do all that. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. So actually, if I can cut in on one thing there, I will say, just because you were not here when we talked about it a bit, I have been putting a little bit of time into Pokemon Rumble World. And yeah, that game, like Pac-Man 256 and No Island, represents, I think, a really, really cool hybrid of free-to-play and premium, where you have the free-to-start, right? You can jump in and play at no cost, but then there's a spend cap that's really reasonable, right? So with Pokemon Rumble World, it's $40, right? And once you hit that threshold, that's it. I think that's a really, really interesting model because I think even premium players like the idea of starting for free, but they have this sense of what a game should cost that's handheld, and so it freaks them out when they see $99 in-app purchases, right?
Totally.
If you see that it all unlocks after $40, or in the case of Pac-Man 256, I think it's like $8. That's awesome. I think that model is really cool.
Yeah, and Nintendo did that with Pokemon Picross also. Like you spent $30 and the virtual currency went away at that point. And I like that. Although, has it been successful for the people who have done it? I just don't know. And you see a lot of people experimenting with free-to-play mechanics on mobile, and some of them work out and some don't. Like, I think there was one company recently that had a system called Fair Play, and I'll link to it in the show notes, but it was a disaster for them, basically. They didn't make any money on it.
Right.
So mobile is so tough because like what you think would be the best and fairest thing for players often is not the thing that's going to make money.
Well, and
there's this weird balancing act that
here's
a
the
lot
big
of publishers
thing.
have to deal with.
Here's a big thing too, and you know I won't stay on the mobile beat for long, but just as we all know, only 2% of people are monetizing at all in most games.
Yeah.
And so what that means to me is that as the market becomes increasingly competitive, people need to start figuring out how to monetize a larger audience. I brought up this stat before, but Hearthstone, which is really more of a gamer's game,
Yes.
at its peak was monetizing 12% of its audience, which is unheard of, right? That's
Right.
huge, and they are doing things differently. And I think once you start to figure out how to reach people that are not comfortable with just unlimited spend models, but
Mhm.
are willing to spend money, a middle class, right? That will change everything.
I think you're right. But then the people drowning out the message on that are people like Game of War and Angry Birds, who are increasingly becoming free to play, and encouraging heavily you to spend money. I don't know. Let's get off the mobile tip.
Sure.
So we don't want everybody to tune out. And I love mobile. I would do a whole podcast about mobile if I could. And maybe we should do that, Ethan.
Player One Podcast Network.
Yep. Yeah. If Kevin can start 8 podcasts, why not Player One?
Yeah, right.
Totally.
Yeah, let's diminish
Well-
everything Kevin's accomplishing by saying we could do it too, just because we feel like it.
But our version of the Fitcast would be great because it would be us as the hosts.
We could be the unfit
Yeah.
cast.
What,
Yeah.
what did you guys
Fat-
order?
the
What did you
fat
guys
cast.
order from Domino's? What'd you
We're
order?
the fat cast.
I go Papa John's every time. I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
Papa John's, yes.
PJ's. All right.
Politically
PJ's
wrong,
all right.
but so delicious.
So you gotta have that garlic dipping sauce.
Oh,
Oh,
baby,
yeah.
hurt
You
me.
know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And the
Please,
little
everyone,
pepper.
go listen to the
Pepper.
Fitcast and don't listen to any of this stuff.
Welcome to the fat cast.
The fat cast. I like that. All right. Should we recap the Nintendo stuff because I didn't comment
Yeah,
on it.
because we
and I
haven't
feel
done
like-
Nintendo news in a while. Let's do it.
I feel like we should.
Oh my god.
So the news, the
We're going to talk
Nintendo.
about the NX being delayed, really?
Yeah.
We did this
No.
last week.
Let's talk about the E3 thing because there was new news, of course, even after Nintendo's financials said that we're only going to show Zelda at E3.
This better be new, Johnston.
People
Go
were
for it.
holding out hope that that doesn't mean what we think it means, does it? And then last week there was that press release that said, in fact, we're doing the Nintendo the live stream, and it's only going to be Zelda, and
I don't believe that.
No announcement of a Nintendo Direct or anything like that. So there you go.
Well, there's
CJ,
supposedly going to be like 24 hours of all Legend of Zelda, right?
What are they going to do? Play through the whole game?
Play through the whole series.
Oh,
Plus,
that'd
that
be
was-
cool, actually.
That'd
I'd
be
watch
great.
5 minutes of that.
Sure. I mean, I'm sad that NX won't be at the show, but I'll take any amount of Zelda. I'll
Yeah.
you know, they want to show as much as that. I'll watch all of that live stream.
You guys, we've talked about it a couple times. It is the charge shot theory that I've had confirmed from multiple sources. They're just holding down the charge shot. They're holding all these games back. I think the launch lineup for the NX could potentially be, from what I'm hearing,
Larry
the
Lock.
best launch lineup of all time.
Are you
Like-
getting
Yeah.
that? You're cribbing that from Emily Rogers, though.
Better than Night Trap, Sherlock Holmes, and Sewer Shark?
No, okay, look at this.
Oh, and don't forget that disc of classics.
Yeah, that's
as
right.
well.
The 5 Sega classics.
Yeah.
But no, these are from observations and from discussions I've had with real people, and from what I've seen, the last 6 to 12 months, Nintendo has been putting out a lot of B grade stuff. Like Nintendo, when they put their best foot forward, their real like EAD type stuff, it's 10 out of 10. Like it is some of the best games of the generation. The stuff that we've seen with Star Fox, Pokemon, or even just like if you look at this stuff, they're giving it to like a third party to develop the games for. They're holding all their stuff back, even on the 3DS. They're holding all this stuff back. It's like remakes, and it's like even the new Kirby game is just a reiteration of the Triple Deluxe game that we got. All the stuff that they have been working on for like the last 2 years, that Pikmin game that's done, launch game, NX.
Okay, I want to remind all of you something, though. There is a certain platform that came out, launched with a brand new Uncharted game, launched with a new Lumines, with a Marvel vs. Capcom game that looked absolutely incredible. All right, and it was one of the best launch lineups ever. And it is one of the worst selling systems ever, despite the fact that I love
systems
it.
ever.
I know. Oh, I love it.
It's one
of my favorite systems of all time. But I'm just saying a launch lineup that is strong doesn't actually mean much. Look at the launch lineup for the Dreamcast. That was incredible, too.
Well, and also for the listeners who may not know, because those sales numbers on the Vita were not great. We're talking about the Vita. You're talking about the Vita.
I am talking about the Vita.
Make it clear. Make it clear.
Yeah.
No one bought it.
I just don't think that's like an apples to apples comparison because it's a portable piece of hardware, and those franchises are not Mario, they're not Zelda, they're not Smash Brothers, they're not Nintendo franchises. Like Uncharted still doesn't do as well as some Nintendo games.
And also, I think you could say that those games don't make good portable experiences, and also the players who are most interested in those franchises are not portable gamers, or were not, especially when the Vita finally launched. They were playing on iPhone.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But again, remember, the NX is supposedly a portable machine as well.
See, I don't know. You're saying that I'm just looking at the PS Vita launch lineup. I'm going to call bullshit on what you're saying there. Because there were some good games there, but there's like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff there, but there's nothing there that says, oh my god, I got to run this game. This
right,
system.
with Uncharted, Wipeout, and Lumines. That's about it.
See, Lumines really? I mean, I know you guys like Lumines.
I play the crap out of it, yeah.
That's not a game that you say, hey, American public, you need this console because Lumines.
It's a hardcore gamer game.
Yeah, I'm a hardcore gamer and I wouldn't play it.
We know the NX is going to launch with Zelda. That's going to be amazing, right? And it'll probably launch with a Mario game, and who knows, they'll probably announce a Metroid game. They're going to announce all your favorites for the NX.
I don't disagree. I think that Kevin's probably right. They have to be holding back because their A teams have to be working on something.
Well, even look at we're just getting the 3DS lineup for the rest of the year is very sparse. I mean, there's some big games with Dragon Quest 7 and 8. We're going to get a new Pokemon game. Then we're going to get a new Kirby game. But for the most part, the rest of the stuff is coming from third parties. It's stuff that they're just bringing over and translating this stuff.
And the last year of Wii U was stuff that was announced like 2 years ago at this point. Yeah.
You know a platform is effectively dead when all you're really seeing is Japanese RPGs. That's kind of the end of the line.
You're talking about Fire Emblem / Shin Megami Tensei hashtag FE or whatever that title is. Yeah. It's ridiculous, but I'm glad Nintendo is publishing that game.
I am too. Yeah, and actually, again, to be clear, while I don't think that a strong launch lineup makes a huge difference at the end of the day, the NX itself is something I'm so excited about that I am fully committed in March to buying 3 of them.
What?
Get one free?
Yep. Wow.
Absolutely. Yep. One for myself. And one for each.
If it is a portable and not a home console.
Right. I mean, obviously, if it is not something you can take on the go, but I promised both kids that they get the successor to the 3DS day one.
But what if it's like a $400 console?
Well, it'll be worth its money in the long run for sure. I mean, my daughter just adores the 3DS.
My daughter is too. She's been playing a lot of Zelda on it.
Well, my daughter gets to use my original Game Boy.
You guys still feel pretty good about the Larrabee lock of a being a cartridge-based system. Clearly, someone on NeoGAF listened to the show.
I feel like a cartridge-based system makes the most sense.
I think that's fine. I mean, you can probably have, the games fit into like a 5 gig or less cart, which is probably not going to be as expensive as we think it would be.
Well, I think like 32 gigs, if they have good compression on the things, they're going to be fine, especially if they're not going past 1080p, which they won't. So you've seen plenty of games that have been able to hit like gigantic, big AAA games that have got under 30 gigs on consoles, and as long as they have some decent compression on the carts themselves.
I mean, all of Nintendo's first-party games on the Wii U have been like 5 gig. Like,
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at Mario Kart 8. Probably still the best-looking game on that system. Unbelievable-looking game, and it's like 10 gigs.
Well, it doesn't Skyrim have like a legendarily small footprint? Like it's a really small file size relative to what you think? I mean, all I'm saying is that you can have games that feel quite massive that still are not 50 gigs.
Well,
I've used that line before.
So I'm sad that we're not going to get anything on NX at E3, but I will take Zelda news because pretty much we're going to be playing that game on NX. Like, I just want to see the game. Show me the game. Show me some of the new ideas that you have. I'm excited about that. Like, I'm actually kind of glad that they're showing nothing else, especially if they're bringing like a really super long demo to the show. Like, they've got to have a lot of demo stations at E3 to actually get people to play if they've got like a half-hour demo or a 15-minute demo even.
I'm really excited about Zelda as well. I mean, I really want it because they've been teasing it for so long. I really do want to see what the game's going to play like.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm happy that they're bringing nothing else.
Well,
but, and I don't believe that they're bringing nothing else.
I'm not saying I'm happy. If I said that I'm happy they're only bringing Zelda, then I misspoke. I'm happy that we're getting anything about Zelda.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we kind of have to at this point too. They've been teasing it for 2 years.
Well, and with the NX, I think it is such an incredibly exciting and important thing. The very idea of, for the first time ever, being able to take one AAA experience with you and play it anywhere you are.
If it is what it is.
Right, but I mean, the thing is it sounds like such an obvious thing, but I hope that that's what it is because we have not seen that before. Think about how long we've had to be in a position where if you are on the go, right, unless you have a fantastic...
Sega Nomad.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I guess that's
or
true.
Turbo Express.
And I'm only being... I'm being totally... I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but it's true. Like that was the great thing about those two systems. Yeah, the Turbo Express, another great example. It's like the most amazing thing about those was that, oh my gosh, I get to actually play my big boy games on a handheld. And with the Nomad, it was even better because you just plugged it into your TV and it's a full console.
Right.
Yeah.
Sega did it first.
Yep.
Christ.
20 years ago.
So by first time ever, I meant third time ever. But yeah.
I'm loving this conversation. Keep going, guys. This is great.
Well, one more thing I wanted to bring up about Nintendo, and then we can get into the actual news of the week.
the actual Nintendo news of the week?
There's no Nintendo news about the whole thing. I did want to bring up the Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem mobile games that they referenced in their financial thing. And I've heard a couple of podcasts say, well, maybe these are going to be premium experiences where I'll pay $2.99 and play Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing. Come on, man. No. These are going to be free-to-play games. Like, I mean, premium games on mobile, especially, like they don't make money, or they're $15 like Square Enix. Like,
hasn't Fire Emblem already been, like, isn't it already established that Fire Emblem is a DLC game? Like, don't you pay for extra missions and stuff in Fire Emblem, or are they all free? I don't know.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you
do. But I think they will be free-to-play versions of those games.
I think so too.
I think in part promote the pay once and play forever 3DS versions of those. And the Animal Crossing game apparently is going to cross-promote or have some interoperability with a new Animal Crossing title, either on the NX or elsewhere. So that's exciting. These are definitely going to be free-to-play games. Like,
but I want to...
There's no market for premium on mobile, sadly.
Okay, I want to read something to you, though, that this is Iwata directly, okay? And I think that even though Iwata's not here anymore, people are still going to be following this at Nintendo because I think it's a Nintendo ethos. But he says, I think the shareholder has just asked these questions partially because he is concerned that Nintendo might shift to the notorious business model that asks a small number of people to pay excessive amounts of money, and that Nintendo's brand image might be hurt. Please understand that Nintendo will make its proposals by taking into consideration what Nintendo really should do with this new challenge. They're recognizing that that's not in line with a Nintendo brand.
I mean, I would agree, except they've got a $74.99 purchase on Miitomo.
Yes.
And since Iwata said that, and now the mobile market has changed so much. Like,
And so has Nintendo.
Really, and Nintendo
exactly.
has too. At one point, he said there was no. Didn't someone at Nintendo say there was no way they were doing games on mobile phones or even free-to-play games, and now they are. So I mean, things do change, and I mean, I'd love to go to the place where Nintendo's making premium games on mobile. I just don't think that's going to be realistic for them. If they are releasing no more Wii U games this year, and they have Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing Mobile to kind of hang their hat on revenue-wise, it's going to be very tough to do that with a premium version. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and to be fair, the stuff that is on 3DS is targeted for a 3DS audience, and you're probably not going to get a better than 3DS or even comparable to 3DS experience on mobile if you're a core gamer that loves Fire Emblem, because they're targeting a different audience.
But maybe what they could do, and I think this would be great, is if they did the spend cap thing like you were referencing earlier with those games, where maybe there are free-to-play mechanics in those, but they unlock the full game after a certain spend.
Oh, absolutely. And if they did
great.
that, here's the thing: with a spend cap on a game like Fire Emblem, even if they made the spend cap $100 and not $40,
I was just gonna say,
totally fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, if their spend cap's like $100 or less, they're still way ahead of the curve on.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And I maintain that if that, I think, very valuable third pillar, that, premium, hybrid, free-to-play premium, and then free-to-play, if they can get into that hybrid space, they will convert a lot more players, and they will convert a lot more of their players, which is important.
Yeah. I mean, what they could do is if they get people to try Fire Emblem on mobile for free, they could get people to buy a 3DS, play it there. That'd be an interesting little quirk.
There'll definitely be an element of it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Speaking of mobile, so there's a little game called Uncharted 4 that is out on Tuesday. And I don't know if you saw this. Sony has released a new game on mobile called Fortune Hunter.
Isn't it called Fortune Hunter Go, I think?
No, they left that out of the title, although I agree that it probably should have had it, since it is taking a lot from Hitman Go and Lara Croft Go especially.
It's not very good, especially compared to Lara Croft Go. I didn't think so anyway. I think the characters are cute, but the line drawing puzzle mechanic is weird to me. And I would just rather play more Lara Croft Go.
Yeah, I agree with that. It feels like, even though the production values are good, it still feels like a cheap mobile game from 2011. And that's kind of weird. And also it gives, so I guess it gives you some perks in the multiplayer game. But nothing for the single player, so I really don't see.
I won't be playing it then.
I really don't see any point to continuing to play it.
And I can't believe I don't remember the name of it. What was that terrible action platform game that came out at the launch of the PS4?
Knack. I believe you're referring to Knack.
Yeah. It is better.
For the record, I thought Knack was good. Knack is basically like a Lego game, but way too friggin' long.
And we've all been wrong at different times in our lives, CJ. It's we still love you, but
I agree with all of that.
The mobile game of Knack was demonstrably worse than the Uncharted game. I will say that.
Oh, it was terrible. Well, and they did a Ratchet and Clank game for mobile as well. There was like an endless runner type of thing. It was also bad. So this does not break the streak on that, but yeah, it's a thing. But the big news, though, Uncharted 4 on Tuesday. Let's all get excited about that.
Oh yeah. Well, and to be clear, this whole week of gaming has been about what can I invest myself in that is short enough to not start a whole new thing before Uncharted 4 comes out. I didn't want to overcommit. I didn't want to like jump into Far Cry Primal, for instance, because then, as I'm in the middle of the flow there, I'm just going to drop it the second Uncharted 4 comes out.
Yeah, and I guess since copies of Uncharted 4 leaked out early due to some thievery and other sorts of practices going on, some people have finished the game already. So it sounds like it's around 20-25 hour experience, which that's perfect. Sure.
Are you going digital or physical?
Oh, of course, digital. I'm all digital.
Can I ask 20 to 25 hours? Is that critical path or?
That's not my voice. That is not Ethan's voice. That is great.
Going digital, CJ?
I'm going digital. Yeah. I'm digital for everything. You know that.
The multiplayer in
that
that
stuff
is
on the
supposed
shelf
to be pretty
behind
good.
I haven't heard anything with the multiplayer, and I probably won't play it, to be honest, but that would be a great time to have Mike Phillips back on the show, because I know that he lives for Uncharted multiplayer.
Yeah. He liked Last of Us multiplayer too, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
I played Uncharted 3 multiplayer. That was really good. I didn't play The Last of Us, but I might dabble in this.
Just thinking back to Uncharted in general, and I remember, like, I'm really excited to play this because it sounds like it's going to actually surpass Uncharted 2, which is not saying, a little. But I still have to say that I think one of my favorite scenes in Uncharted is still the sinking ship in Uncharted 3.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that room with the glass dome, just unbelievable.
Yes.
That set piece, probably my favorite set piece in the entire series.
Totally. I actually replayed a little bit of Uncharted 1 this past week, and that's not a very good game. The gunplay specifically, and how they have like little enemy waves that pop out and pop behind you too and screw you over. I don't like that. No.
I actually played all the way through Uncharted 1 recently on PlayStation Now. That was kind of a fun way to do it.
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
Yeah. Didn't notice any lag or anything, but yeah, it let me play in any room I wanted, or on the Vita, or at Starbucks. It was pretty sweet.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah. But Uncharted 1 doesn't age beautifully. That's true.
No.
Uncharted 2 is even better than you remember, and Uncharted 3 I think is better than most critics tended to give it credit for. I can't wait for Uncharted 4 though. It is definitely and without question the game I'm looking most forward to this year. The only thing that would have been in contention would be the Zelda game, which is now pushed to March. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, then I think Mr. Kevin Larrabee might dispute that with you because there was a little announcement about a game called Persona 5.
Let me stage this for a second. What if I told you there could be one game that would be the best game of a generation on 2 generations? Okay, on the PlayStation 3 and on the PlayStation 4, you could have the best game of the generation coming out on the same day. And I loved everything about this announcement, starting off at Tokyo Tower, where just some crazy weird stuff was going on, people speaking in Japanese. I didn't know what was up. It was just an old lady from the previous Persona announcement video talking to us and letting us know that the countdown's coming for the new trailer for Persona 5. That trailer ended up streaming to millions and millions of people and showed specifically why, it was a perfect example of how fantastic Japanese video games can be, because the art design and the style of that game is unmatched from anything that I've ever seen, to the point where I have spent $120 to pre-order the Japanese version, the first time that I've ever done that. That makes no sense for me to do that, but I did it. The special edition, it will be coming September 15th to my house. And that is the game it will be getting me to buy a PlayStation 4. Not Uncharted 4, but Persona 5. We'll do it.
But you have had a PlayStation 4 before, though, so you're...
Yeah, but I've not cared. I am rebuying, but there hasn't been anything that has made me want to pick up a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in months, because my life is a little bit different now. I'm a little bit, not like necessarily busier, but my tastes have changed a little bit, and I'm much more a Vita and 3DS person. But this game has it has exceeded my expectations for what I've seen so far in terms of the music, in terms of the character designs, in terms of the setting, in terms of the fight scenes, in terms of the results screens. Like, everything from top to bottom is just unbelievably good looking, and this is what I think a lot of Japanese video games miss today. And this is everything that is fantastic about Japanese video game design in one package, modernized for 2016, and coming to the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, hopefully this winter in the United States. We still don't have a date for the U.S., but we do have September 15th in Japan. And I think I go back, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately after this trailer. I think Persona 4 might be my favorite game of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I can totally see why. The characters are fantastic, and just that sense of just being there, living there, building relationships. That stuff's at least as interesting, if not more interesting, than the battles themselves.
And it's 70 hours of fantastic, which is something that is unmatched in anything I've seen in all the video games that I've ever played. There's really great 4-hour, 6-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour, 20-hour games like Uncharted 4 is probably a fantastic, unbelievable 20-hour game. But to be able to maintain that pace for 60, 70, 80 hours, it has made me pick back up Persona 3 Portable. I restarted a new game in that just because after seeing this, it's like when people saw the new Star Wars trailer, they're like, oh my god, I want to rewatch all the old Star Wars again, at least like the original trilogy or something like that. So for me, like, I just ordered the Persona 4 anime series on Blu-ray, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I don't watch anime ever. I've tried. I don't really like it, but I'm picking this up because I need to relive that story. I'm so hyped up for this game right now, and I think it's going to be absolutely gigantic here in the States. I think it's going to be a huge seller.
That promotion video that you tweeted to us and I put in the show notes as well, it looks so good. Like,
and the energy and the style, man.
I wish it makes me pine for a time when Japanese video game development hadn't abandoned console. Like, I wish we were back.
And here's the thing too. Imagine how the folks in Japan who love that type of game and are making games feel, because they are still best in class when you give them the opportunity to do AAA. You look at Dark Souls 3, you look at Metal Gear Solid 5, you look at Persona 5. They are absolutely impeccably designed gameplay experiences and will stand the test of time. Those guys must feel so happy to be able to do that in a market where all of their peers have moved on to virtual slot machines.
Well, I think my one hope is, and I'm not going to wait. I don't think I'm going to wait because I don't think I can wait. I really don't want to play an 80-hour game on a console. I just hate sitting in front of my TV and playing this stuff. But I think a game of that length is perfect for a portable, and the game's coming to PlayStation 3. It's definitely capable of being downported to the PlayStation Vita. The Vita is still selling really well in Japan. I mean, I was just there 2 weeks ago. Trust me, they're still selling tons of games. There's tons of brand new games every week. Maybe this is something that could come out for that, or perhaps it's something that Nintendo can get on the NX for launch.
Yep, I think that would be awesome.
That's very interesting.
Because you can make it a portable launch game, and it would be exclusive to the NX. And if Nintendo could grab that, like they ripped Monster Hunter away from Sony,
and Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Well, you also look at just how important Persona 4 Golden has been in the library on Vita. It's one of the games you must have. If Nintendo gets the new installment on their handheld platform, that makes so much sense. There's proof that that's important.
Yeah, and Persona 4 and the franchise themselves are still absolutely gigantic in Japan. The game goes on sale for $10 like almost every month. Like, I feel like I'm retweeting Shane Bettenhausen's tweet about Persona 4 and just saying again, like, Greg, stop being an asshole and play through this goddamn game.
Oh, that's funny. I literally did retweet that.
I like Greg's face. That was
because, like, I'm like, here, it's like, see, Greg just watched Furious 7 tonight, and, like,
my eyes are watering.
He knew what you gotta get it.
How the hell do you have that physical copy when you do everything digital?
This is the only Vita game that I have a physical copy of. by the way.
Because you're a great person. And
he pulled it out from under his shirt because he keeps it close to his heart.
Because he keeps it in his crotch.
Well, and you guys, like, I've been trying so hard. Like, I feel like I have the best drugs of my life. Like, I feel like I got the best heroin ever. And I've been talking with people. I've been trying to find a really good JRPG that will grab me. I've tried the best JRPGs across multiple consoles. None of them have given me an experience close to what I got from Persona 4. So I feel like I'm chasing this need for the hit that I got with Persona 4, and it lasted I had an 80-hour high. So what I'm saying is, Greg, like, I'm telling you, this game will give you 80 hours of fun, like you knew Furious 7 was going to give you 2.5 hours of balls to the walls, tons of fun, and a little bit of tear-jerking at the end. Like, that's what you're going to experience for Persona 4, and anyone that has not tried this game out, you owe yourself to pick up a Vita, pick up a used one for $100, and get this game for $20. You will get $120 worth out of this game. I promise you.
So I think we have done the 15 minutes on Persona. So
thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry. Thank you.
Oh,
You're right.
Can I add one other thing?
Yeah.
Just if you are going and picking up a Vita, which I know is always a tough sell because they're not making a lot of software now, but the JRPGs that are on that platform make it so worthwhile. Because, Persona 4 Golden is the best of the best, but also you have Danganronpa, you have...
I gotta try those games.
Yeah, you have Final Fantasy X and X-2, which are the best versions of that game. And then the backwards compatibility with PSP gives you Persona 3 and Tactics Ogre and all sorts of John Dark.
Final Fantasy 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying.
All right.
Absolutely.
So should we do some more news?
I can't believe I got called out there for no good reason.
you like constantly are like tweeting about like playing through it and like I'm 4 hours in.
I'm not constantly tweeting about playing through it. What are you talking about? You're constantly tweeting about playing through it.
If there's one thing that I can do, and like honestly, I feel like I'm just going to start a Persona 5 podcast, just like every single week leading up to the release of how great that game is.
You start a Persona 5 podcast, and I promise I'll start playing through it. You can check in with me every week.
Oh my gosh!
Actually,
everybody check fitcast.network because there's a Persona 5 cast.
We'll call it the Persona 5 Fatcast.
No, we'll do Persona 4 weekly check-in.
Sure.
Play 2 hours a week. We'll get it done in 40 weeks.
That's about as fast as I play games now.
You can play it on a treadmill or a bike and tie it in.
Yep.
All right, so Respawn Entertainment has they're responsible for Titanfall. You may have heard. They're making a Star Wars adventure game with EA. They've announced. Yeah,
but I've heard it's like a third-person game, which there's no reason to assume they couldn't make a kick-ass third-person game, but it's just interesting because their whole lineage is first-person.
Except in Titanfall, when you're in the mech, there's a third-person mode there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess yeah.
They can do it just because they are known for first-person.
They can pull the camera back.
Yeah, they could do that. Yeah.
I think Respawn is great. I don't like or play multiplayer shooters at all, except inexplicably for Titanfall, which I ended up prestiging. I really got into that.
Yeah. Which, by the way, later we'll talk about it, but Ethan, you got to try the Overwatch beta. Come on, download that.
Okay.
Try it out. It's so good. Anyway.
Do you think this is going to be in part what is left over of 1313? Because I know they talked about that game possibly coming back.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I remember they were doing an interview with LucasArts. Maybe it was around the same time, but they're saying, 1313 is not gone forever. Like, it could come back. Like, there's still stuff that could be resurrected from that project.
And we do know that this is a different project from the Amy Hennig game that is still in production at Visceral.
I think we just figured it out.
Yeah. That would be cool. I'd be down with that.
No?
I saved the Larrabee lock for stuff I actually know is 100%.
No Larrabee lock on this, though. No. Okay.
So quick question I wish Seabake was here to answer, but my understanding is that now anything that is extended universe is dead, and that's one of the problems with 1313. So is the Star Wars Christmas special canonical? Is that... is it or not? I mean, I just don't know if anyone knows. Like, is Lumpy a thing for real or not? Lumpy the Wookiee? No, we don't know.
No, we get it. just not.
Okay.
We're just not going along with you.
I've never seen that, so I don't know.
Speaking of
just
EA,
so you know, this is what Phil feels like.
Speaking of EA, let's talk about Battlefield 1, huh? Which got announced.
Oh my God, that looks amazing.
Yeah, apparently some details leaked out, and then they just announced it and put out the trailer and a few details. So they're going back to World War I.
About time.
Battlefield, which is great. And there was some rumor that it was going to be like an alternate history game, but they've come back. I think DICE has said that that is incorrect information. So that's interesting.
So all that stuff we saw in the trailer was real to life, true to life.
I don't know.
Like that spiked base was a.
I'm sure somewhere.
I mean, you never know, because that was the war where, it was technology all changed, right? I mean, you still have people riding into battle on horseback at the beginning of that war, so
Yeah.
You never know.
Really cool trailer, though.
And it looks amazing. It looks amazing. If that was actually in-engine footage, like, wow.
Yeah. I'm sure it probably isn't, but
Way to kill my buzz.
It looks great, and it's interesting to see. So the direction that is being the Battlefield is heading in is totally different than the direction that Call of Duty is heading in. Which I don't know if you saw the Infinite Warfare trailer, where basically they're going into space now.
Does that brand have any meaningful identity anymore, or is it just about the mechanics?
I think it's just about releasing a new multiplayer game every year.
There's definitely that, keeping that audience interested, keeping that money flowing in. And
yeah, I mean it's fine, but just how is that meaningfully tied in any way to the other Call of Duty games that have come? I guess they're slowly building to that type of thing, but it might be jumping the shark to me.
There's guns. That's how they're connecting the games. They have
all many
guns.
people need to know.
I have no idea how they're actually connecting them. I mean, they might be connecting them. I haven't really played one in years. So.
Well, if you buy the Ultimate Edition or you pre-order it or whatever, you'll get Modern Warfare Remastered.
What are you shaking your head for?
Cool.
Which
Modern Warfare was great.
I guess they've said they're not going to sell that separately, but come on. I mean, at this time next year, you can be able to buy that, right? I mean,
they did the same thing with Call of Duty 1. Remember that? They re-released Call of Duty 1 on the Xbox 360 as part of a special edition. Then a couple months later, they offered it on the store for everyone.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll do it again, even though they say they're not going to. Of course
they like money.
Yeah.
Those things are great. You'll not actually play it, but you'll be happy to have it in your library.
I would actually buy it and play it.
You think so?
Oh, I loved Modern Warfare. I look at it as the beginning of the end of that series for me, but I still love that game.
Was that the one? Was that the one with the airport scene?
No.
No, it's
no.
two.
That's two.
That
was to me. It's like these games aren't for me anymore. So, but Modern Warfare was great. But it was also because it was so fresh at the time, right? I mean, because Call of Duty to that point was a World War II series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's true. It was totally new, and that's also the one that introduced all the RPG elements, which were such a key part of expanding what competitive first-person shooters were.
Yeah. Which is why I knew they weren't for me anymore.
Mm.
All right, Ethan, you want to talk about this Gears thing that I know nothing about?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because Epic kind of did a walk through the history of their company recently, and what was interesting was that they were saying that if they were to have done the Gears of War 4 game themselves, it would be a high-risk proposition because given the amount of budget increase game to game, this one would have probably cost roughly $100 million to make, all in, including advertising. Yeah. And so just it would have to have been a major hit to even break even. So that is why they said they're not moving forward on that and allowed Microsoft to take it back. It's interesting because it really does show how high risk AAA console development is, and that's a little scary just because it makes it all the harder to get new IPs, which is such an important part of breathing life into that category of game. If every company has to spend at that level to be able to deliver something that has the fidelity that consumers expect, that's a pretty tough market to sustain, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. So,
it's everything that's wrong with AAA game development. Really.
Although I gotta say, I I do really like the way that Ubisoft has gone with Far Cry, where they are basically turning Far Cry into different games each time with Blood Dragon. Like after 3, there was Blood Dragon, and then we got 4, and now we have Far Cry Primal. Like I love that they've done that with that engine and that game style.
Well, my understanding is that even some of the maps from 4 was reused in Primal and set in.
Yes.
I had heard that Primal is just 4. It's 4.
Yeah, it is the it is the land. The landscape is the same.
That's what I mean.
The map is the same, but there are obviously different things there since it's so many years before. But yeah.
And what's funny is I've beaten Far Cry 4, and I just started playing Far Cry Primal a few weeks ago, and I wouldn't have known that it's the same environments.
I'll bet you if you jumped into a time machine right now and went back to where you're sitting this exact moment, you probably wouldn't know that's where you are either.
Good point.
Just saying.
Mm.
Where's my Vita? This can't be my house.
Should we move on to what you've been playing?
Sure.
Now that we're an hour into the show. I don't know that we're gonna have time for tweets, but let's try. We'll do something.
I deleted it, so.
Kevin.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about what you've been playing?
Yeah, so as we were kind of talking about earlier, I've been super busy, and I haven't had a ton of time for longer form video games, but I was really lucky because, as I mentioned before, I was in Japan, so I bought a couple PlayStation Vita games because they're still like a thing out there where you can see shelves and like rows and rows of Vita games. It's a really beautiful thing to see in person. I hope you guys can all go to Tokyo just for that. The first game that I want to talk about is Taiko Drum Master 5 for the PlayStation Vita. This is a really it seems like a compilation of a lot of the other Taiko drum games, and it's pretty straightforward. Like you can jump right in and you just get all the songs unlocked. They're just all unlocked, so you can kind of go through all the different genres like J-pop, and there's even video game tracks in there as well, specifically from Bandai Namco, their franchises, and also they have some stuff like Hatsune Miku, so they have some Sega franchises in there as well. There's a bunch of.
Do they have
Hatsune
any
Miku.
Dark Souls stuff in there? Yeah.
That
would be a fun mashup.
To be honest, I can only really tell when they also have like Romanji, like it's in English as well. So not all the tracks are like a lot of them are just solely in Japanese, but you can kind of, if you recognize the song, you can understand it. But that game is an absolute blast to play because, as I mentioned before on the show, like I love rhythm games, and it's something easy to pick up, play a track or two, put it down, and just use it as a break from like, oh my God, I've been staring at my computer. I might as well stare at my Vita for 5 minutes and then go back to staring at my computer. So it's also a game that is easy to import and just pick right up because Vita is region free, so you can put it right in your Vita and go right away. You don't really need to know any Japanese to play it because you're just selecting from a list, and then when you're playing the tracks, you're either hitting a bumper or you're hitting a face button. So the face button is the drum, and the LRR is the tap on the side of the drum. If you've ever played Taiko Drum Master, I know they ended up bringing a couple of those stateside, right?
Yeah, I have one for PlayStation.
PS2 and yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, if you have that, that's probably the best way to play it. But if you want to play it portably, that's a great way to play it. Also, I finally got to start playing Axiom Verge on the PlayStation Vita.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, thank you for having. I know it took them a really long time, but they finally got it out on the PlayStation Vita. So they finally. I think I bitched about that on the show like 6 months ago or something like that. But
a year ago, yeah.
Yeah, they finally had it come out, and they fulfilled their promise that they initially had of getting that on the PlayStation Vita. And that game is really, really fantastic. And
yes.
Like, is it cross-buy, cross-save, by the way?
It is. Is cross-buy, not cross-save?
Yeah, cross-buy.
Yeah.
So
sadly not cross-save. I would have really liked that, but yeah.
Right. And then the reason why I guess I was bummed before is because I bought it on the PlayStation 4 at launch as a show of faith, and they also gave me a $5 discount code at PAX East. But it's great to finally play that. And actually, I I'm kind of cynical when it comes to people kind of not remaking, but like going and trying their own spin on old genres or kind of the westernized versions of great Japanese video games is something that I'm not usually attracted to. And there's no real rationale behind it. But this game is just fantastic, from the music to the artwork to the action. Like, it's just a really, really fun game. Like, the boss battles are great. The individual enemies that you face are great. And there's actually like some early in the game, like I don't know what they're called, but they dart right at you and like they scare the crap out of you when you see them for the first time because they're yelling and it's like this high-pitched 8-bit sound. And this game is something that is an absolute must-buy, I think, if you have any nostalgia for Super Metroid or Symphony of the Night, those types of Metroidvanias. I think you will really enjoy this game. It's just so good.
Agreed.
And finally, speaking of Phil not being here, I'm playing through Mega Man 5 again. We were originally going to do a show back in my play about Mega Man 5, like maybe 6 or 9 months ago, but Phil's schedule is really tough with teaching and stuff, so we are now going to do that hopefully next week, so Mega Man 5 on the show. But I think that is kind of like since I brought him up before, like the Shane Bettenhausen's secret best Mega Man soundtrack of all time is Mega Man 5. I think top to bottom.
Those are big words.
Top to bottom, I think it is the maybe the best soundtrack, and it really bums me out that people always go to 2 and 3 because I think 5, like every single track is very, very good. There isn't a track that is bad on that soundtrack, and I think people should really give 5 and even 6 a shot now that like Mega Man Legacy Collections on everything has been updated so it runs pretty good. Go and check out 5 and 6, and the only maybe negative about it, and I won't get too deep into it because we're obviously going to do a show about it, it's just kind of very easy with the charge shot. The boss battles, you really don't need to use what they're weak against. You can just kind of learn the boss patterns, and yeah, it's making it a little bit harder on yourself, but I actually kind of like it. And I'm really good at these old 8-bit games now. Like, I'm very after beating Castlevania 3 and blowing through these Mega Man games like they're nothing. I'm very good at old video games. It is a muscle that I've strengthened quite a bit, and I think that is something that is oddly developed from playing these games a lot. You just recognize a lot of the same patterns a lot, and you can kind of just get used to multitasking by watching all these different things coming at you at once and trying to memorize patterns. And it's oddly enjoyable when you've been so busy with other stuff to be able to hop in these old video games and boot them up and be able to get some great action out of them. Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's understanding the language of those games. Just like if you go into an adventure game and you see boxes, you know that you're supposed to pull these boxes to move them in place to be able to get to another ledge, right? But it's really interesting when you see somebody who hasn't played a classic 2D sprite-based game, or for that matter, a puzzle game from the PlayStation era. They don't understand the language, and they have such a hard time as a result.
It's something that is really enjoyable to be fluent in, because even like I booted up Castlevania 2 just because I'm kind of poking around. Like I said, I would never play that game for the show, but I just want to at least like kick the tires a little bit, and like I was blowing through that. Like I just feel like anything that I pick up now that it's made by a good company like a Capcom or a Konami or a Nintendo, like a lot of the same, like it's hard to like talk about it without like smoking a bunch of weed. Like I don't, like I feel like it's like, oh man, it's like you're in the zone or something like that. But it's a weird energy that I feel when I play these games, and that's why I still, when I have time, I devote time to these games because they are kind of really special in that way.
Is Simon's Quest as obtuse and frustrating as I remember it being?
I had well, this is the way that I set this up, and this is the way that I'm gonna do it if we do it on the show. Is that I will have issue number 2 of Nintendo Power in front of me, and I will go and use the guide as it was given out, as it was almost it was required reading to play through that video game. So.
Now,
yes.
that was actually the first game I ever bought for my NES. Was Simon's Quest, and I loved it. And I think the only thing I actually really needed help on was the whole kneeling at the bottom of the cliff face. That was it. Everything else I managed to figure out on my own.
it is just like a weird game because I played maybe an hour of it, and even just like the unlimited items and stuff like that, like you're throwing holy water all over the place, and it's kind of like annoying to have to do that to find secret areas. I don't know if we're gonna do it, but it's.
The thing though, I think with me, like the thing with that game was. It was one of the first times that I remember feeling like it was a game that created an actual cohesive world for all the weirdness that it had going on in it. Like it just
was after Zelda 2, right?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it's the first one I got. I had not played Zelda 2 at that point. So like that's anyway. My point being is that it wasn't just a series of levels. It was actually like this big world that you were in, and you had the freedom to go like even from the start. You can go left or right. If you go left, you're dead. Because the enemies are so strong, and then the whole day-night cycle thing, again, like nothing I'd ever seen before. So there was a lot keeping me playing that game, even with sort of the weirdness surrounding it.
Well, it is very much the Castlevania 2 is very much the Zelda 2 of the Zelda series, or the Castlevania series, I should say. Like they tried a lot of different things, and it was actually a drastically different formula for Zelda 2, but they kind of not bit off more than they could chew, but they just didn't really execute really well, and like that's the same problem with Zelda 2.
Yeah, and I mean I think just like Zelda 2, that game gets way more hate than it deserves.
Personally. No, Zelda 2 deserves it.
Yeah, there are some games. The one that I think ages the most poorly actually is Kid Icarus from that era.
I would agree with that.
That game is a massive pain in the ass.
Yeah, Kid Icarus was never good. I agree with that.
Okay, all right. This is the box art for Taiko Drum Master. I wish that was a plushie. See, I would put that on my.
They have plushies of that. I'm sure Phil has those.
10.
Probably.
Yeah, he probably has a closet.
Probably. Ethan.
Yes, sir.
We should talk about Star Fox.
Yeah, let's do it.
I have played a little bit of Star Fox.
Yep.
Myself, and I am going to say right now on this podcast that in 5 years' time, people are going to look back on this game very fondly and say that it was ahead of its time and actually a neo-classic.
Oh my god!
That's what I'm going to say. Because
are there job openings at Nintendo of America? Did they make a post online today?
And I'm glad I got that T-shirt, by the way. That's fucking weird. In 5 years, in 5 years' time, eBay is going to be like Earthbound going for $5 at Best Buy. It's so good. No, the control I find very difficult, and you're totally right. Like, it's very obtuse, and it is a lot like patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. Like it's very hard to figure out and to continue doing. But I do feel like when it does click, it feels really damn good. Like you feel like a badass when it actually works out for you. And when it doesn't, it feels so kludgy and terrible, and feels like you don't even know how to play a video game anymore. That's the worst part about it.
So, yes. Get him. All right. So this is the first game ever where I've wanted to, and I may end up doing this, write a review that has a score that changes hour to hour, so you can see where it is. Because
Polygon still needs a review of this game, by the way.
I think was it Game Buyer magazine that had that chart at the bottom of all their reviews, like the enjoyment level, and
that's interesting.
It always like a downward trend. There was nothing that actually like really went up.
But. So the thing is, though, is with this game, and I have to ask, how far in are you right now?
Not far.
Okay, so let's talk when you finished it.
Okay.
Because I really started to enjoy the game about 3 hours in. It started to connect with me. As I described last week, it was like suddenly you're on a bike and you're learning how to gain your balance, and it becomes intuitive.
Yes,
but
yes.
Man, and that's great. That feels really good, especially coming out of this feeling of just disorientation and frustration. But by the time you get to the end, and I'm not going to spoil anything other than to say that the final sequence in the game breaks all of the meaningful rules of good game design, where suddenly your controls get completely changed because you're doing kind of an orbital rotation that changes the way you interact with your craft fundamentally.
Weird, in the Star Fox game?
Yeah.
Levels like they haven't done that before.
Well, I'm just saying that
a vacuum, and suddenly you have to dodge and
I'm not going to spoil it, but the combination of that change, along with whenever you're trying to attack the final enemy, the camera just goes fucking bonkers. And then there's a final sequence after the big fight where they switch your orientation in a way that is completely jarring, and one hit will kill you. It's like it does every single thing it can possibly do to piss you off, and it feels so broken that I can only think that this game was just shipped out to hit some date. It just, that last level absolutely does not have the standards of quality that you'd expect from Nintendo. Really, really disappointing. So the game has its ups and downs. It's a good game to try or rent just to say you've played it. It doesn't take that long to get through. It does some interesting things, but man, at the end of the day, I think that for me it's close to like a C or a 5 out of 10. And I really want it to be more.
But this is a Larrabee Lock by way of CJ. CJ Lock, all right.
CJ Lock, yeah, totally.
5 years.
Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think when you finish the game. I am dying to know that.
Okay, I will.
I don't even know you anymore, Johnston.
Oh, and have you played Star Fox Guard more than once?
No.
No. I am so ready to trade that in for Uncharted 4.
I played Star Fox Guard, and it's an interesting game, and I think you were mentioning, or somebody was mentioning last week, you can play it multiplayer by having your kids shout out what camera you should be looking at, and that's a lot of fun.
Is it? Is it really?
No, not really. But I mean, it's a fun little distraction, right? I mean, both of these games, Star Fox Zero and Star Fox Guard, came out of the criticism in the press that the Wii U was getting that the games were not using the gamepad, right? And so both of these games, in my opinion, have novel uses for the gamepad. But the unfortunate thing is that they're not what people are used to, and there's a huge learning curve in Star Fox Zero, and that's why I think it's just not being well received now. But in 5 years' time, Star Fox Guard will not be looked at as a neoclassic, but Star Fox Zero.
I think a lot of this is like the controls should never get in the way of great gameplay, and that's the problem. I understand that they're trying to figure out how to use the gamepad and justify the use, but it is at a detriment of the gameplay.
But then
which
again,
is a shitty
like
excuse.
you think about games like Dark Souls or Demon Souls, like games that are really tough and you can wrestle with controls in those, or Bloodborne. Those are like becoming really popular now. Like, I mean, I agree with you that it shouldn't be that way, but I think Star Fox Zero was born of that Wii U criticism, and it's a platinum game, and
yeah, but the
I think
difference
you're definitely right about it being born of the criticism for the Wii U not justifying its controller, but I think it can also be held up.
That was when they showed it at E3, right?
Yeah.
They showed 3 games that made great use of the gamepad. Like, it was totally just a justification for...
But that's the thing. I think it can also be held up as proof of the controller being a bad idea.
The other thing also is when you look at something like Dark Souls 3, that is really carefully crafted on a moment-to-moment level.
That's not hard because the controls suck.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, it's not an accessible game per se.
Yeah, but there's but it's not accessible by design, not because it's broken.
Well,
you're right.
Exactly. And the other thing is, like, with Star Fox Zero, the weirdest part of it is that the difficulty just goes through these weird spikes. Sometimes it's way too easy, other times it becomes unreasonably difficult. It just doesn't feel tuned at all. It's like they just crammed a bunch of stages together and didn't test them.
I think, Greg, you were saying that your son played it once and he was interested in it and then had trouble with the controls and it totally killed it. I mean, just look at that. I mean, the audience for this game should be kids, and you've got this like hardcore control scheme that's super frustrating. I mean, it's just it was certainly not the right choice, but they made it and they stuck with it. Oddly enough, and I still think in 5 years' time.
I think people will talk about it the way people still talk about the Phantom Menace.
Oh,
or Metroid, whatever that last one was, Other M.
Oh, Other M.
Yeah, Other M's a great example. Yes.
That's possibly true. But CJ Locke.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
All right. Ethan,
we missed you, CJ.
Continue on with what you've been playing.
Sure. So the other game I wanted to talk about, and this is the only one I wanted to really also put a little time into, is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. As I said, I've been trying to find these games that are a little shorter so that over the course of 1 week I could get through some stuff before Uncharted 4 comes out. This one I had beaten half of it. And then I ended up trading it in, and this is one of those very rare cases where I ended up really regretting that trade-in. I wanted to play it again, so when it went on sale during the holidays as a digital purchase, I rebought it for about $5 more than I had traded it in for, so I felt okay. And then started from the beginning again and just played through up to and then past, of course, where I had left off. Last night I beat it. And it's a game that, again, has a lot of ups and downs. I think overall it's a very, very good game, lots of fun to play. But I wanted to bring up the bosses here, too, because the final boss in this game took me about 3 hours to pass.
Wow.
Oh.
And the thing is it was one of these bosses where, and it's the same case with all the bosses in this particular game, they have like 3 different variants, right? And you get to a point where you've completely mastered the first 2 variants, and then it's that third one that you have trouble with. And every single variant takes like 4 minutes to get through, right? Yeah. So I ended up finding myself in this really kind of strange position where I would just start listening to a podcast so that I didn't get bored, getting through all the stuff I had mastered and understood how to do with the boss until I finally got to the 3rd phase and then turned off the podcast and kept playing. And it just was like, that's not really fun. And I don't know if there's a design solution for that, but once you've kind of mastered something, when you have to go over it over and over again, and you just want to see that end credit roll. I mean, I stayed up until 2:30 in the morning last night to get to that point, and I felt exhausted and happy to have gotten to the credits. And again, I like the game overall, but man, that kind of design really pushes you away unless you really, really want to get to that ending.
Have we gotten to a point where boss battles just shouldn't be a thing anymore in the same way that they were? Because I think you were talking about the Ratchet and Clank final boss last week as well, where that also is just like an overly long. It's a cool battle for sure, but it's like an extended 3-form type of thing again, and it feels dated now. It doesn't feel fun like you're describing.
Well, and I think personally the best way to do it is for like the penultimate boss, right, the boss before the boss, to actually be the hardest boss in the game, and then like that final boss. And I think one of the
more like a victory lap.
Maybe it was Wind Waker, but one of them did it where like Ganondorf was actually super easy at the end, and it was like the last dungeon boss that was really.
I think Wind Waker is what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that because like when you are in the final run, you don't want to turn the game off. You don't want to come back to that point and retread that ground. You just want to finish the game. So when you also are coming across the hardest boss in the game, you're going to stay up till 2, 3 in the morning, even if you have work the next day, but you're not going to be happy about it,
Yeah.
I think, can I tell you guys, this is game Persona 4, and the final boss goes through multiple forms, and you guys are 100% correct with everything that you said, but I think there's still some place in terms of the gratification that you get after spending, like, that last boss battle is going to take you like an hour in Persona 4, and when you get to the end of that, the sense of relief is something that is really still special in video games. Like, you kind of like feel this real sense of achievement and just like, oh my god, like kind of like thank God I don't need to do that again, but in a really positive way. And I still think there is some room for people to do that, as long as it is not like a one-hit kill situation where you have to backtrack, a ton of time. As long as you can actually make it fair, that's the real important part.
Yeah.
And I can see exactly what Kevin is saying, and I totally think that that's fair. I think the difficulty is you always have, or at least I did with the way I set up my character, 4 hearts, right? 2 hearts is Donkey Kong's and 2 is his support, whether it's Diddy Kong or Dixie or Cranky. And the problem is, once you lose your support, Diddy Kong, your is really handicapped because he can't float anymore. So it's much harder to dodge. So that pretty much instantly. Really, you're effectively out. Frustrating because then you just start it over again. It's not an hour-long battle where you can see that you're powerful enough to ultimately take down the boss. Just 3 hours of repeating the battle.
Yeah,
but it's like losing your cape in Super Mario Brothers or something like that. Like you lose your cape, you lose your raccoon tail, and you can't float anymore. So it's
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Those
So
games
has
are
anyone
pretty
else finished Donkey Kong, or am I the only one?
Not Tropical Freeze. The one before that I finished, and I loved, absolutely loved.
And it was great. I played that on the 3DS, and it was outstanding on the 3DS.
It was just a great game.
Well, it was interesting that this one, when we were talking about Star Fox Zero and what they were doing with the controller, this is the ultimate game that does nothing with the controller. It literally just turns the screen black when you're playing on the TV. It does allow off-screen play, which is cool, but with CJ having said before that Wii U is one of his favorite platforms, I will definitely say this. The machine will forever be remembered as an awesome place for 2D platform games. When you look at launch Super Mario, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, right, it had the best version of Rayman Legends. The Kirby game, this game, Yoshi's Woolly World, which I think is fantastic. It's really a great platform for those traditional games that people don't make anymore. And to be done at a AAA level. Mario 3D World, of course, but that's 3D. But still, it's like the platformers are very much alive on the Wii U, and I love that.
Can I ask you guys a question, Ethan and CJ, as big Wii U fans? Are you starting to get worried about your gamepad? Are you going to start hoarding gamepads like from GameStop?
Funny that you mentioned that. So my daughter has started playing. She likes playing the Zelda games on either 3DS or Wii U, but she's impatient when they're loading up, and so she'll start like hammering on the buttons. And on the Wii U, she's gotten into this place where she'll turn the gamepad off, and like I can't get it back on. I don't know what she's doing, but she's like slightly breaking it. So I'm like,
reaching like a fail-safe point that shuts it down.
Don't do it.
You literally cannot use that console without the Wii U gamepad. Like you can't turn it. You can't like access like the menus and stuff like that, right? So maybe this is something that you want to keep an eye on the Nintendo of America website, and as soon as they're offered like online, like just
they are being offered online, I think now finally.
Maybe you should get
they're
like
like $120 or something.
Oh my god!
Get like a 10-pack. Get like a 10-pack and make sure you can just like leave it in the attic, and maybe leave 5 like at your parents' house in case the house or something like that, just so you can continue to play Wii U stuff.
I'm gonna have to eBay that Pippin in order to afford a bank of Wii U gamepads.
Pippin funded Wii U gamepad purchases. I love it.
Yeah. All right, Greg.
I did not play anything this week. That's why I left it blank.
No more Sega 3D Classics Collection?
No, I've been super busy this week. I just haven't had a chance to play anything.
Well, you all should have downloaded the Overwatch beta because it is free and it is awesome. It's a first-person shooter from Blizzard. I guess it's their first new IP or their first new game world in 17 years, which is kind of crazy. And I have been having a heck of a lot of fun with it. It's very much a team-based shooter, so sort of shades of Team Fortress 2. It's hero-based, and there's a couple of videos online that chronicle the making of this game, but apparently it has risen from the ashes of this MMO that Blizzard was working on called Titan. That failed. It never launched, and I guess it wasn't good, but this game has replaced it. It's got 21 characters, 21 different heroes that have...
What's the one they're going to do?
What's that?
They were going to do this one free and then went premium with it, right?
I don't know if they ever said that it was going to be free, but yeah, it is a paid title. $60 on console, $40 on PC.
Cool.
But 21 characters that have a good number of offense, defense, support, tank. Everything's kind of spread evenly. The character design is really great. If you haven't seen videos of it, you should definitely check out their initial reveal trailer. It's very Pixar. Like it's got like a really unique style to it. You don't have to unlock characters. So Battleborn came out last week, and that's a game where you have to unlock all of the characters in it. In this, you have access to all 21 right away, which is fantastic because then you can play any role in the team, and you can really find the characters in each of these classes that you really like. And very unlike shooters of the modern era, you don't earn skills or like level up as you play. All of the characters have their abilities, and they're all the same power as they're going to be later on, no matter how experienced you are with the game. So it's you're pretty much on a fairly even playing field with everyone, at least as far as power goes. Certainly not skill. But the other great thing that I love is the post-game results screen does not have like a kill and death ranking. Like it doesn't rank you amongst your team members. It just shows different performance metrics, and they're all positive performance metrics. So you can play a support character, never have one kill, and be like a player of the game.
Cool.
Sounds like it's scratching your Splatoon itch.
It is totally scratching the Splatoon itch.
Yeah, it sounds very similar.
It is absolutely fantastic. The beta is on now on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. They extend beta until Tuesday, so you have until then to try it out. It also does not give me motion sickness, which is fantastic.
Cool.
To find a first-person shooter that I can actually play, fantastic.
When does it come out?
Oh, sorry.
It is out on the 24th of May.
Okay.
Do you know if it's running at like 60 or 30 frames per second? If that's a difference for you?
Well, for me, I get more sick the better the frame rate.
Okay.
It depends what the field of view is and whether the walk animation has you go up and down.
Oh, that's why you didn't like Bayonetta 2.
Well, it might be part of it. Certainly, it's why I can't play Wolfenstein, because you can't turn that off. Some first-person shooters you can, but you can't in that one, and that makes me sick in like 5 minutes. So you should check that out. But the other thing we did, so we have a Player One community on the PS4. Some of you may be members of that. And with the last PS4 system update, they added this feature called Events. And it allows you to create an event around a multiplayer game, invite people, and then basically at the event time, it auto joins everybody into a party, and you can start the game right from there. And I tried that this weekend with our Player One community, and it's fantastic. Like it puts everybody in a party, and you can join the game, and makes it real easy. It's like the old Xbox 360 days of making it easy to hop in multiplayer.
3 years, but we're back to Xbox 360.
We're back to it. Xbox One is still kind of a dumpster fire in that respect, but PS4 has the event system, especially, really, really cool.
Awesome.
A lot. And you may have seen, I posted on Twitter a highlight from one of the games that I played.
It was great.
The picture?
With friends. This was not with our Player One community. This was with another group of friends, where my entire team jumped down a hole as I looked on as they all like jumped into oblivion. It was fantastic.
CJ, this is completely off topic, but did you pre-order one of the Super Famicom Japanese 3DSs?
No.
Oh, okay, then I am crazier than you. Okay.
But I did pre-order Overwatch because I really, really enjoyed the beta, and I definitely want to play it. So.
Cool.
Yeah, and Blizzard has.
What did you pre-order it on? PS4, it sounds like, yeah.
PS4, yeah. I pre-ordered it on PS4. Apparently, they've got like weekly content updates coming throughout the summer, all free. So I imagine this is going to be a lot like Splatoon was last summer for me, where it's just like new stuff hitting every week, and I'll stick with it. So it's a multiplayer-only game, no story mode. But I am really, really enjoying it, and if you get the chance, please try out the beta, because I think you guys will like it.
Cool.
Yeah. One other game I want to talk about tonight is on the 3DS. It's an eShop game from Game Freak.
Yeah.
It is called Pocket Card Jockey, and this is the weirdest mashup of horse racing and solitaire that one could ever think of.
Tell me it's awesome. Please tell me it's awesome.
Well, I don't have to tell you it's awesome. You can play it yourself because there is a playable demo on the eShop.
I know, I just haven't opened it yet.
And it's like a couple hours worth of demo, and
Holy crap.
the save in the demo transfers over to the retail version, and the game is only like $7 or $8, so I think it's worth buying. But developed by Game Freak, it's got a really, really unique sense of style. You start the game out as this wannabe jockey, and you die in your first horse race.
Jesus.
Oh,
And
geez.
because you were so bad, so you get resurrected, and your guardian
This is the
angel
Japanese craziness. This is what we need. This is what Japanese games are supposed to be.
This is so fantastic. Like, the concept of this game, it must be played. Everybody should just run out and buy it anyway, or download the demo, please. But so this angel resurrects you and says, "Well, you suck at horse racing. What are you good at?" And we'll basically like transfer that into your horse racing skills. And you say, "Well, you're really good at solitaire, so basically you are playing solitaire to win horse races." And there's a few more mechanics on top of that, where you have to worry about the position in the pack, and your horse's stamina and energy and all this other stuff. But it's actually not as difficult as it might seem. And the digital manual that is provided is really good, and the tutorial is really great as well, and that's also in the demo. But everybody should check that game out because this is just a true 3DS oddity and a fantastic game.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Downloading it as we speak.
Put it in the folder next to your Tokyo Subway Driver game. Which if you haven't picked those up, I have 2 of those on my 3DS, and they're actually super rad.
There's like 7 of them on the eShop or something.
Yeah, there's a ton of them, but they were on sale like 6 months ago or something
English?
like that.
They're in the U.S.
English.
Locally,
Yeah.
they're super fun, and you get like it's that game that they had out in Japan with a huge assembly where you could do the whole.
Well, that's
The Densha de Go was
around a long time.
PS1 era.
Yeah.
Now it's portable and in 3D, so if you want to drop people off on the Yamanote line, you can do
And in
it.
English.
And you can do it in English. Yeah, totally.
You can fulfill your life's dream of being a subway driver or a JR line driver.
That's my dream, is that they will just see me on the train and offer me a job, and that I will stay in Japan.
You're there just riding the train, and suddenly something happens to the conductor, and somebody bursts in. Can anyone drive the train?
Somebody, come on, you, the white guy, get the white guy.
Get the white guy to do it.
We have to pick the tallest, whitest person on this train.
Yeah, so because I can stick my head out and I can look out the window and say, "All right, it's okay," and then we go. Then we go from Shinjuku, and then we go to Shibuya, and that actually will probably stop at Harajuku because fashion is very important to me.
Clearly.
I see.
Dude, this is J. Crew, Greg. I'm not messing around. This is J. Crew. I'm doing all right.
That's a stylish hoodie.
That's about as high as I go as J. Crew.
So I've also been playing Quantum Break. I'm trying to finish that before Uncharted comes out, but I'm probably not going to be able to since Overwatch came out. I played Link's Awakening on vacation, and I'm halfway through that game now. I bought that game when it was first released and played through maybe 1 or 2 dungeons, but I don't know why I stopped. But what a weird game! Just
I have never,
weird.
I've heard how good that game is, and I've started it multiple times, and I just never go anywhere in it.
Yeah, here's my main issue with it is that so it's the first game with a sort of swapping side quest thing, and the swapping side quests are optional in other Zelda games, but in this one it's actually a critical path. You have to do it. So since I played Link's Awakening after all of those other optional trading game Zeldas came out, I was confused that you mean I have to do it to go through the critical path of the game. and yes, you do. And Critical Path, I did the trading game and have gotten through 4 dungeons. So I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I hope to finish it. And I'm sure we'll be talking about it on some other podcast, whose name shall be called Back in My Play. So yeah.
Don't forget that DX exclusive dungeon.
The color dungeon.
The color dungeon.
Yeah, I have not played through the color dungeon yet. And there's also a photo mode too. Like in the original, you could print out pictures with the Game Boy printer, which is crazy. And the photo mode is, of course, still in the 3DS Virtual Console game.
You still have a printer, CJ? You have a printer lying around?
I still have 2 of them.
I never bought a printer, actually. I have a camera, but I don't have a printer. I never bought a printer.
So, CJ, what motivated you to jump onto that Zelda game?
Well, it was an invitation from Mr. Kevin Larrabee.
Yeah,
okay.
On an old video game podcast.
But then again, it was one of those games. You know, well, I just finished Twilight Princess, and
for both of us, CJ, that's why we're doing it. We got holes in our Zelda.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I finished Ocarina of Time last Christmas, and then Twilight Princess, and I love the Zelda games, and excited about Zelda Wii U. So Link's Awakening, since I never finished it, never played all that far into it, figured it was a good time to do that. Anyway.
Yeah, I just remember like the time I got into it was not the original release, but was the Game Boy Color one. I picked that one up the day the machine came out along with Tetris DX. Yeah. It's goodbye.
That's the launch lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, right?
That is a super launch lineup. Yes. I think we're going to skip tweets.
Yeah.
Today, because we've gone long, but I think this has been a really great show, so I think nobody will feel shortchanged by that. So what do you think about ending it here?
Is there one tweet so you can say you did tweets? Is there one tweet that stands out above the rest?
One tweet.
One tweet to rule them all.
Just okay. One and done.
One and done. Let's do this one then from hacker alias Liquid Sword, who says, "How do you achieve inner peace with starting to bald at age 26? It's something of a personal crisis."
Over here, started at age 17.
Wow, way to finish the show. This is going to be a really upbeat
You want to talk
finish.
Inner peace? Screw your inner peace. You've had way more time with your hair than I have.
Okay, I see multiple articles a year on various news websites about how women, if you like women, they tend to also like bald men, which is, it's totally okay. Some of the best people to ever live on this planet, like Bruce Willis and Vin Diesel, they've had mostly bald heads, and they've been the best people on this planet. Yeah, so if you think about the trajectory of their lives and their careers, like you're probably only going to go up, and just embrace the crap out of it. Embrace the crap out of it, and make sure that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing. You know what? When it starts happening, don't grow it thick, Ethan. Don't try to hang on to it. Just shave it off. Seriously. But
get rid of it.
Keep it really short. Yeah.
Kevin's got a point, because I mean, when I was a kid, bald men were just old men. Like bald wasn't people didn't shave their heads purposefully. They just went bald, and it made you look old. But luckily, we live in a time where that's not the case anymore. People choose to go bald, and it's beautiful. Especially on Kevin Larrabee.
And you can shave your head with razors from Harry's.
After you sleep on your Casper mattress.
Yeah, and then you just blog about it on your Squarespace website.
After
now that we we paid the bills.
How many podcast ads can we reference in the last 2 minutes of the show?
Lynda.com is a great resource for all your educational needs.
I feel like if
Audible.com.
I get up to $1,000 donated to my Extra Life page in the next 3 months, Ethan shaves his head. What do you think?
Nope.
How about you just do a second day of exclusively Shenmue
Yeah, I'll do that.
for $1,000? A day of play all the way through Shenmue 1 in a day. It's totally doable.
Is it possible?
Yeah, it's like 10 hours.
For $1,000.
On that day, the day of the incident?
Yeah, on that day when it snowed.
I will. That's something I would like to try this year, actually, and I will actually have time to do so. I'm afraid my Dreamcast won't be up to the task, but I'm going to try. The last time I tried to play Shenmue on my Dreamcast, it crashed after the intro every single time.
Dude, the internet is a vast resource of Dreamcast consoles where you can get access to them through shipping means. So that excuse is not going to fly anymore, Greg. It's called one click.
Dude, I'm just saying.
Wow.
Man.
This is a great way to end the show.
Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you would like to, what did I say here? I've forgotten. If you would like to comment on something that you heard or ask us a question, you can direct that to at P1 Podcast on the Twitters. Is that right? Did I get that right? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find our contact information, blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Seward.
It's me.
And you'll find Generation 16 episodes.
The new one is about half done. I just finished
Excellent.
another segment this weekend.
Excellent. And you will find a message board where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by going to player1podcast.com or to the iTunes Music Store. While you're at the iTunes Music Store, you can invest $1.99
cheap
to buy the Player One Podcast app, which gives you one-touch communication with us via everything but voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our episodes ready to stream. All 496, maybe. Are they all there, CJ?
I think so. Actually, there's about 520 if you count everything we've done.
Damn.
But
we are
yeah,
prolific
numbered. Yeah.
as hell.
Mm.
You can also get that on the Android and Amazon App Store for the same $1.99.
still cheap.
You can like us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram, MySpace, Friendster.
I'm not aware. Not aware of that one.
Oh, I'm still waiting to dig it. Why aren't you guys on Dig? That's the number one social news website.
Google Plus. But mostly, player1podcast.com. On Facebook, give us a like. Of course, youtube.com/P1Podcast. You can check us out live on Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, usually when we're recording. Or once we get through Phil's crap, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Right? Yeah, you guys agree. What else? Oh, Patreon. That's pretty important. If you like what you've heard and you like to support the podcast, please head to patreon.com/P1Podcast. Toss a few bucks our way so CJ can take more lavish vacations and leave us here to do all his work for him.
Yes.
And I'm not going to ask for money for my show because that would be crass. One thing I will say, though, I wanted to bring up here real quick is that I don't know if you Americans have heard too much, but there is a wildfire burning in Alberta that has laid waste to Fort McMurray, and I mean waste. Go online and find some pictures. It's an entire town that's pretty much been wiped off the map. And they announced here in Canada that donations made to redcross.ca were going to be matched by our government along with the disaster relief that they're going to be providing anyway. And if you can find it in your hearts to do so, like I said, look it up. Fort McMurray, tons of people displaced. The fire's still burning. They're going to be fighting it for months. So please, give if you can. That would be amazing. Just wanted to throw that in there somewhere in the show. Give it a little Canadian flavor, as it were. CJ.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming back and hosting this week.
You're going to edit this one, though, right?
And more importantly, thanks for editing this week. Ethan?
Yes, sir.
Where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at videogamememories.wordpress.com. I blog at least once a week on there and keep it up to date. You can also find me on Twitter at Ethan_Einhorn.
and people should follow you. And, of course, Kevin Larrabee, tell us what you do.
Hey guys, I do a lot of stuff, but you're probably going to mostly want to check out Back in My Play. It's a really great retro video game show that has all your favorite friends from the Player One podcast and throughout the realm of video games, including fantastic stuff from Kurt Collada and HardcoreGaming101.net. Greg and I have recorded a bunch of stuff over the last couple of weeks, including a fantastic episode on the recently released Sega 3D Classics collection on the Nintendo 3DS, as well as finally doing Gunstar Heroes for the Sega Genesis. So that is what is going to be coming up this Friday, and the best thing is that those shows are timeless. You can go back in time and listen to CJ talk about The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker or Ocarina of Time with John Riccardi, and you can also hear Phil on a couple episodes, including Mighty Final Fight, the only good version of Final Fight. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, it's at Kevin Larrabee, Larrabee. And I will say patreon.com/generation16 if you want to support fantastic video game historical stuff. I'm a very big believer, and I support a lot of people through Patreon, and I use it. It's a great resource that people can use to tell the people whose content that they watch and digest that they believe in the content that they're making. So please, if you do watch something like Generation 16, or if you do listen to the Player One podcast, let them know by showing your support. And literally, you can do it for like $1 an episode for Player One podcast. It's $4 a month. It's like literally a cup of coffee today, and they can do great stuff like buy games for everyone on the show, so they can all talk about the latest releases. So help them out as well.
Or if you want to donate $1 an episode to Generation 16, that's like $2 a year.
Right, and that's the thing, is you're only paying for stuff that's produced, and that's why it is so great. It's not a monthly thing. It's just you pay for what is actually produced, and you can even cap it. But the thing is that you're telling those guys that you think that their stuff that's worth supporting, it has value to you in your life, which doesn't always get seen unfortunately, Patreon is a great way to make it happen.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you for saying that. And, of course, you can find Kevin Larrabee on Patreon as well in his various projects. I believe you're still doing Patreon, right?
Yeah, and just go to fitcast.network if you want to check out any of the stuff that I'm doing. And there's actually like a lot of new shows, some that are getting incredible feedback, including this new show called Fitcast Life Fuel that's coming out on Thursday. That's all about like motivation. And 2 weeks after that, I have Georgia Dow talking about fear. Like I mentioned before, this has been a ton of work, but I'm absolutely loving doing this. And I think what is going on the Fitcast Network is actually something that should be special, even if I continued to lose money on it. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, jeez. So I want to thank you guys, Ethan and Kevin, for coming on this week. It's always great to have you both on the show. Both Absolutely. Great to listen to, talking about old games and new games alike. And thank you for listening. We'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.